Hello everyone, and welcome to SUNUP. I'm Lyndall Stout. There are a few sure signs of summer here on the OSU campus, and most days it's pretty quiet with the students gone. That is, until the energy and excitement of 4-H Roundup arrive. Over the course of 3 days, 900 young people, along with volunteer leaders and County Extension 4-H educators, make Stillwater their home as they cap off and celebrate the end of another 4-H year.
It is kind of the end-all be-all of 4-H. It is the thing you look forward to all year long, that awesome summer activity that you get to show off your talents that you've worked for in whatever project area, whatever competitive competition you want to do. It's just kind of the big thing we look forward to every year.
We have speech contests, we have tractor driving contests, we have the food showdown, we have the fashion review. Kids even get a chance to go up on stage and sing and do skits. It's a really great place for kids to get out of their comfort shell and get involved.
Young people who participate in 4-H are much more likely to be contributing members of society as adults. They're more likely to be, they show greater levels of caring for their fellow citizens. They're more likely to engage in leadership. They're better prepared as leaders through the experiences, the life skills that you gain, and so on in 4-H.
While these events are very important, so are the bonds of friendship, some of which will last a lifetime.
I want to just see the kids, how they grow, how they change, what they get out of Roundup, how they come into today through what the difference is Friday when we're making that drive home and I'm asking, what did you get out of this? What did you learn?
I personally feel like we're a team because as you get older, I feel like you actually create a relationship with your educators and you're working with them and you're helping them, help the younger 4-H kids walk around and motivate them and be a role model for them. It's a lot of hard work, but when the finished product is there, when we're at Roundup, it's all worth it, and we're all just smiling, and we think we did this together.
Joining us now is Kevin Allen, the new state program leader for 4-H. And Kevin, congratulations on your new position.
Well, thank you very much.
Now, Roundup, of course, is always a really exciting time here on campus and for these kids who are coming from all over the state.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's a great time. We've got about 900 folks here to enjoy Roundup, our educational workshops, our contests. We have speakers. It's just a great time for these kids to come and make new acquaintances and rekindle old acquaintances and just enjoy 4-H. That's what they're here for.
And this year the theme is developing or making
superstars. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that and kind of how that's sort of the mission of 4-H all the time.
Well, I think with all of our kids in our 4-H motto of making the best better, it's kind of like making superstars, and all these kids are stars in their own way, in their own rights, and we're just trying to help them be better at what they enjoy doing. So we're really excited about the Making Superstars theme this year.
As we know, it's the centennial of cooperative extension in the United States, and of course in Oklahoma, and 4-H is part of extension. There's a long tradition of 4-H and Roundup here on the OSU campus. There's some pretty strong ties here.
Oh, very strong ties. We're celebrating our 93rd 4-H Roundup, so just 7 years less than Extension's been recognized here, and we go to Gallagher Arena, which was, our home for a while as the 4-H building, so we get to go home to Gallagher and of course come to Oklahoma State University, which is our home for all of our extension counties.
Now these kids work on their projects all year round. They worked really hard. And is this a time to really celebrate that hard work too and compete?
Oh yes, we have lots of contests and events, and it's a chance for us to recognize our scholarship winners and those kids who have worked so hard throughout the year, throughout their 4-H career to be recognized for the great things they've done. So it really is all about them. That's who Roundup is for. It's for our 4-H members.
And you talk to 4-Hers maybe 20, 30, 40 years after Roundup, and that is one of the favorite memories that they have of being young is coming here to Roundup?
It's just amazing, the alumni that come back, and I remember Roundup. I remember my first Roundup. It really is special for everyone who's been involved with the 4-H program. So it just doesn't end when they graduate. They keep coming back, which is great. We love our alumni.
It's a lifelong connection to 4-H.
You bet.
Okay, Kevin Allen, great talking with you and great letting us be a part of Roundup this year.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks a lot.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mesonet Weather Report. Al Sutherland is off this week, so I'm going to take you through this week's segment. Now, we're going to talk a lot about this roller coaster we've been on over the last couple of weeks. Let's take a look at some of the Mesonet weather maps, and I can show you just how topsy-turvy we've been. On July 17th, we had high temperatures across the state in the 60s and 70s, and we broke a lot of records on the cool side of things. Now, those low 60s for highs we see in the northwest are some of the lowest maximum temperatures we've ever seen during July in Oklahoma. May Ranch reached a chilly 62 degrees on July 17th. Less than a week later, temperatures were once again in the 90s and 100s across the state. And as you can see from the Mesonet Heat Index map, it felt even hotter than that, with highs up in the hundreds across most of the state, at least for the heat index. Just take a look at the temperatures from the Hooker Mesonet site. Hooker goes from a high of 63 degrees on July 17th to 103 degrees on July 21st. That's like going from March to a hot July day in less than a week. Now, the state does continue to get nice rain since May 21st. We've talked about that date before. Northern through central Oklahoma has gotten from 12 to 16 inches over that time frame. We've also seen great relief in southwestern Oklahoma, where up to 13 inches has fallen. From late May through late July, much of the state has seen from 140 to 200% of normal rainfall. So a real bounty that we're not normally used to seeing during the summer months here in Oklahoma, which has led to this much better looking drought map. Moderate to severe drought is now the main drought intensity in the state, taking the place of a lot of extreme to exceptional drought, the worst two drought categories on the U.S. Drought Monitor map. So the advice for this week is to stay inside as much as possible and crank up that air conditioner. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week on the Mesonet Weather Report.
Joining us once again, Kim Anderson, our grain marketing specialist. Kim, this week we saw Kansas City wheat drop below that support price at $6.36. Where's it going from here?
Well, we're going to watch that. It tried to come up just a little bit at the end of the week. It's setting around 620, 625, somewhere in that vicinity. If it can pop back through that 636, which I'd give it about a 40% chance of doing that in the next couple of weeks, then we'll take a run back up at that 660. I think that it will probably go down and challenge the $6 to $6.05 level on that Kansas City September contract. Challenge that. If it breaks it, then it's Katie bar the door. It's probably going to go down to 570, 575.
All right, now we've talked about a few factors contributing, but what's really driving this drop in prices? Is it our stock situation here in the U.S. or just really good looking foreign crops?
Well, our stocks here in the U.S. are Jekyll and Hyde. You look at hard red winter wheat stocks, they're very tight, as you would guess, with the short crop that we just had. But you've got above average stocks we're expecting that for the hard red spring wheat. We're expecting above average for the soft red winter wheat. U.S. just right near average. You look at world ending stocks, they're projected to increase this next year. You look at just about every major exporting country, their ending stocks are increasing. So what we got is tight hard red winter wheat stocks, and not excess, but more than adequate wheat by the other varieties in the U.S. and countries in the world.
All right. Now, Kim, we would hope at this point that a producer still holding on to their wheat can afford to do that for a while. And is that really the strategy here, just to hold your wheat and kind of wait out these prices?
Well, if they're still owning wheat, of course, the strategy should be a third, and a third. If they haven't sold any, I would suggest they sell some wheat. If they hold it, I think they're looking at a maybe 60-cent downside risk. If they're holding it, downside lower price. If they're selling it, I think they're giving up the potential for maybe a 40 or 50-cent price increase. So that's their risk. 60 down, I think 40 or 50 up.
All right, now to change gears a little bit, next week you'll be at Canola College, Tuesday in Enid and Wednesday in Altus. Give us kind of a preview of what you're going to be talking about, and really let's talk about the profitability of rotating canola and wheat.
Well, we're going to talk about world canola production, where it's produced, and what the price is probably going to do over the next year. Let's concentrate right now on comparing, say, just producing wheat, and look at a wheat canola rotation. The estimates that Eric DeVeest gave me was $71 for wheat only, that's central Oklahoma. If you do a wheat canola rotation, you're looking at $104 above your variable cost. Southwest, $23 for wheat and $54 for the wheat canola rotation.
So it really does make some sense then.
You bet.
All right, Kim Anderson, Grain Marketing Specialist here at Oklahoma State University.
Deep in the heart of summer is often a time when we find ourselves in a situation where we have to treat one or perhaps several cows in the herd for some of the summertime infections that can occur, such things as eye infections or foot rot. When we do that, we often use some antibiotics, and that is certainly a reminder that we want to follow beef quality assurance guidelines closely as we're giving those products to those cows. There are 4 pretty easy to remember rules that can help us prevent that situation where we could eventually send a cow to town that has a violative residue, and we don't want that to happen. Those 4 easy rules start with number 1, have a close veterinary patient-client relationship with a large animal veterinarian in your area. Use them on a regular basis so that everybody is communicating on the same page. Number 2, only use products that are approved for cattle, and then follow the label very, very closely, or follow the instructions that your veterinarian has given you with that prescription. Number 3, watch the withdrawal times very closely. On these products should be a listing of the proper withdrawal time for any product that you give for an infection for cattle. Some of them may be something like 14 days. Well, let's use the example that if you give that product on the first day of August, then it's the 15th day of August before you can go ahead and market her and cull her, take her to the local sale barn. 4th, keep good, accurate records of the products, when you gave them, who gave them, how they were administered, and keep those records for at least about 3 years. It seems like a mundane thing to do, but can be very, very important if we have one of those unfortunate situations where a cow does eventually show up to have a violative residue. If you go to the SUNUP website, that's sunup.okstate.edu, look under show links, and there you can see a link to some examples of records that you can keep on those cows that receive some of these kinds of pharmaceuticals. I think if you'll keep those records and keep them accurately, that can really be a good insurance policy for you as you doctor these cattle this summer. We hope that's helpful to you as you go through the rest of the summer and have a few of these situations where you're going to have to give some of the treatments to cows that have some of these common infections. And we look forward to visiting with you again next week on SUNUP's Cow-Calf Corner.
And now a note about an upcoming farm transition workshop coming up in Stillwater next month. The 2-day event is at OSU's Wes Watkins Center on August 15th and 16th.
We're hoping that folks that are going to come to our 2-day event have already had a few discussions with their family about what they want to have happen to their farm and are kind of looking for more detail about the specific mechanisms they can use to make that transition happen. Now, what we're really excited about with the 2-day event as well is that after we've had these in-depth discussions, we're actually allowing meeting time and meeting space for you to bring your family and have your transition talk right there. And we're going to have tax professionals, attorneys, and mediators, family communications consultants there as well to help you with that conversation so you have access to all that expertise in one place. Our hope is that after you've gone to the 2-day event, you can actually have enough of a conversation with your family that you kind of know the objectives that you have, some of the tools that you want to use to get there, and that you're really ready to start engaging your professional team and really put some of those tools in place.
August 1st is the registration deadline. The cost for the conference is $50 for a family of 4 and $10 for each additional family member. It's the time of year to start planning for prescribed burns, which is something, because of the extremely dry conditions, we haven't been able to do for several years.
You know, everybody's been kind of geared back from burning just because of lack of fuel and the drought conditions that we've had over the past few years. And I think we're getting back to a better rainfall pattern that we have. We're growing a lot of fuel pretty much across the state, so I think we're going to see a lot more prescribed fires this coming spring. I've already got a lot of reports. There's been several people doing a lot of growing season burns already this summer.
To help with that, the Oklahoma Prescribed Burning Handbook is now also a mobile website that works with your smartphone or tablet.
The content of it is still the same. We've changed it up where it's a lot easier to use and a better format in that mobile situation so that you have it right at your fingertips out in the field. So if you're out burning, fixing to burn, you got questions about something on a fire that you need to answer, you can pull out your phone, get to the mobile website, and look up any kind of information that you need right there at your fingertips.
People have been able to download the popular workbook as a PDF for a while now, but this new format offers several advantages.
Whereas the actual handbook, it gives references to fact sheets, weather websites, things like that. With the mobile website, you can click actually on the link right there and bring the fact sheet up right there at your fingertips, or you can click and it'll take you automatically to OK Fire, National Weather Service website, any kind of smoke management website that's available, and it's there and it's right there at your fingertips in the field.
You can find a link to this handy tool on our website, sunup.okstate.edu. In this week's Food Wise, we want to talk a little bit about the wine industry in Oklahoma. And joining us now is William McGlynn, a fruit and vegetable processing specialist. And William, just kind of give us an overview of the wine industry and kind of where it's been and where it's headed in Oklahoma.
Well, the wine industry here in the state is relatively young, especially compared to other parts of the world. It's been about 15 to 20 years now that it's really been a growing commercial venture here in the state. We started out in the late 90s with, depending on how you want to count it, either 2 or 3 wineries. And now there are about 60 wineries. So we've seen a tremendous amount of growth in the industry. And along with that, we've seen a tremendous increase in the variety and I would say the quality of wines being produced here in Oklahoma.
In terms of research and product development, what do you and your team do to help out Oklahoma wine producers?
We do research here, and we look at different winemaking techniques. We look at different starting materials. We've looked at a number of different grape varieties, some of which are not commonly grown in the state yet anyway. And we're also looking at fruit wine. We have some research going on with blackberry wine, as a matter of fact, and there's a growing interest in different types of fruit wine here in the state as well.
And in terms of the crops and then the eventual end product, there really is an Oklahoma flavor to it.
Absolutely there is. You can have the same type of grape that's grown in different parts of the country or different parts of the world, and it'll have a very different flavor depending on where it's grown, based on the soil that it's grown in and the climate that it's grown in. And so, you may have a Cabernet from France, you may have a Cabernet from California, you may have a Cabernet from Oklahoma, and they're all going to taste a little different. But they're all good, and they're all high quality wines.
So if I'm going and looking for an Oklahoma wine, is there something in particular that I should look for? I mean, in terms of comparisons?
It just depends on your preference. There are lots of different styles that are being made here in the state now. If you want something light and fruity and kind of sweet, that's available. If you want some of the more traditional, full-bodied, robust type wines, those are available too. So whatever you want, visit your local winery and you'll find it there.
Okay. Some information about Oklahoma wines. William McGlynn, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
We caught up with our good friend Daryl Peel to talk about some of the consumer markets. Daryl, what are we seeing right now?
You know, as far as beef prices go, we've seen, you know, a general increase for many months now in wholesale and retail prices. But, you know, given the increase we've seen since, you know, through June going into the 4th of July, we had a tremendous run up in wholesale beef values. It's pretty clear at this point that consumers have not seen all of those impacts. In fact, the latest consumer price index information was just released for the month of June, and it you know, actually showed a less of an increase, although it did show an increase for food prices generally and specifically for the meat component of that. And what that says is that there's more to come. I mean, we think the supply pressure is going to be there for an extended period of time, much of the next 2 years at least, but certainly even the increases we've already seen in wholesale prices will take several more months to work their way fully through the retail level at both the restaurant side as well as on the grocery side.
Okay, now let's delve a little bit more into that report. What are we seeing in that?
Well, you know, again, we do continue to see the prices increase. Overall, the consumer price index increased less in June than it had before. And again, food actually contributed to a slower rate of growth, but there is that, you know, continued pressure there. Energy prices were up the most in the June consumer price index.
Okay, that's on the consumer side. Let's talk about the cattle producer. What are we looking at?
Well, you know, again, we had this huge run up in prices at all levels, from wholesale beef all the way back down through feeder cattle, going into the 4th of July. And coming out of that, all eyes were on that market to see sort of what happens next. Was there another shoe to fall? And what we've seen since then basically is this market has held up reasonably well. It has stopped increasing, and that was expected. So we've kind of topped, but we really haven't seen you know, a major weakness in that market. It's kind of moving sideways. We did see a significant correction on the futures markets for feeder and live cattle futures, but even with that, and that's stabilized now. The futures seems to be finding a footing after that correction, and the cash markets as well. In fact, we've seen both fed cattle and wholesale beef prices begin to creep back up a little bit after dropping just slightly after the 4th of July.
Okay, it's starting to green up. We got a little bit of rain. Talk a little bit about how cattle markets follow drought conditions.
Well, you know, again, the rain we've had recently helps us keep chipping away. Doesn't solve our longer term drought issues, but again, reinforces the idea that we've got forage not only for the summer, but I think, you know, going into the fall, I think what producers probably need to be focusing on now, cow-calf producers in particular, is sort of focusing on the cost side of things. You've got a little forage to work with. You need to think about that in terms of managing not only summer grazing, but also maybe stockpiling some standing forage going into the fall, managing those forage costs and feed costs going into the fall and winter period. So we've got a little more flexibility now from a management standpoint. The other thing is that with the moisture we have now, again, we still have some, you know, potential problems. We've got plenty of time for lots of heat this summer, but at this point we're setting ourselves up for better prospects for the fall grazing. And so, you know, stocker producers will start thinking about what that means for them as we go forward over the next month or 6 weeks.
Okay, thank you much. Daryl Pill, Livestock Marketing Specialist here at Oklahoma State University.
Finally today, as part of Roundup, we want to talk about the 4-H commitment to service and the chance that we had to see it in action recently as part of a joint project between 4-H and FFA that also showcases the incredible link between humans and animals. A well-choreographed scene unfolds on a beautiful morning in front of Boone Pickens Stadium on the Oklahoma State University campus. Each player knows his or her role, unloading and placing fence panels, boots in and out of the stock trailer, adjusting and readjusting until everything is just right. The sign is up, the straw is spread. A lot of work for a select group of high school students.
It's quite an ordeal when we get ready for this every year because everybody wants to come.
Once the fencing is secure, the stars of the show take their cues, some more willingly than others.
We got our 4 girl donkeys, we got 3 miniature ponies, 2 POAs, a zebu, a calf, and two weather goats.
The volunteers behind this production are from Ponca City High School's 4-H and FFA.
We were more than happy to bring our petting zoo on the road and come to Stillwater. And it's one of the best experiences that we do all year long. We see a lot of kids that don't have the opportunity to see livestock very often, and my kids get a lot out of it.
Their audience? The 7,000 to 8,000 athletes, as well as volunteers and families, taking part in the state games of the Oklahoma Special Olympics. one of the best in the nation.
We are the only state that puts on this big of a production for our special athletes. We really get involved in our athletes, and we love to give them everything we can give them at 100%.
And part of that 100% is the petting zoo in Olympic Village.
And it's just mostly for the kids to have fun and kind of relax and enjoy.
Graham Elliott Hulseys competed in 4 Olympic Games. His mom Leslie says Graham can't wait to see the animals.
Graham just participated in some events and he wanted to come straight to see the animals. He doesn't like the noisy things. He likes the more quiet activities with the animals.
Clearly, the athletes enjoy seeing and interacting with the animals, but there are other more subtle benefits they take away from this experience as well.
Certainly we know that it lowers blood pressure, it helps to relieve anxiety, and overall just improves your quality of life. So those are some pretty big benefits that we see across the board.
Dr. Laura Sipneski of the university's Center for Veterinary Health Sciences leads a pet therapy program on campus.
In general, they're very calm, so when you are around something that's calm, it helps to reduce your anxieties, and I think maybe sometimes it helps us just take ourselves away from the stress of our normal daily life and just focus on something that's warm and fuzzy.
Out here, in between competitive events, that's the kind of break they need.
And a lot of kids don't get to experience these animals, and so we want to bring that experience into these kids so they can have it.
And the FFA and 4-H students make sure they do.
To make them happy and just like good seeing their smile on their face.
Down here, there's no competition. We don't win a belt buckle. We don't win a trophy or prize or any money. But we leave this place feeling a lot better about the world and better about ourselves for what we can help with these young people.
The animal-human connection.
Animals have a lot to teach us, and they reach people with special needs in special ways that humans can't.
Quiet moments of understanding that can happen just about anywhere.
Are they all girls? No, he's a boy, and these are 2 females, these 2 bigger ones.
Big old smile come across their face, their eyes light up, and I recognize some of those kids come back, you know, time after time after time on the same day. I think they really enjoy this petting zoo. Next to the ice cream bars, I think this might be the second most popular thing here.
And that might just be a true measure of success. That'll do it for us this week. Remember, you can find us anytime at sunup.okstate.edu. You can also follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and other social media. I'm Lyndall Stout. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you next time at SUNUP.